So Holly said that her husband is starting to grill again for the summer, but is still getting used to his grill and has been burning some of the meats and vegetables. And should she worry, she's heard that this is carcinogenic or potentially causes cancer. Should she be worried about that? So I hate this question and I love it. Here's the reason that I hate it. I enjoy, like taste-wise, those little burnt bits of meat and veggies on the grill. That's like my favorite. I think it's so delicious, and I'm about to give you bad news about those. However, here's why I love this question. A lot of people don't know this, and we think of grilling our food as super healthy, and it is super healthy in general. It's a lower fat preparation. You don't have to fry it. It's still very flavorful. It's nice to get outside. It's nice to have a change in pace. There are many reasons why grilling is great, but there are some health risks too. So anything with fat drippings, like most meat will have, has the potential to create something called PAHs. PAH, it's polycyclic aromatic hydrocarbons. You don't have to memorize that, don't worry. Just think about PAH. So PAH can form when three things come into combination with high heat. These three things are amino acids, which is basically protein, sugar, which even though we think of sugar as like cane sugar, there's a little bit of sugar in meat, and enough to cause this reaction, and creatine, which is basically only found in animal products. So those three things in combination with high heat can create these things called PAHs. And another thing, anytime an excessive amount of fat from meat comes in contact with high heat, you create something called HCAs. So both of these two things, PAHs and HCAs, are potentially carcinogenic, which means they potentially cause cancer. Now, I like to explain just a little bit more because we read everything can cause cancer, and we often don't really understand what that means. So just a sentence more on what that means. When we have these PAHs and HCAs, some people metabolize them very differently. So some people could eat tons of PAHs and HCAs and not ever have a problem. But some people, depending on their genetics, these can cause a small change in the DNA that can then make cancer, or make the occurrence of cancer, a lot more likely. Here's how they do that. So cancer is basically when a mutation of your genetic strand increases. Cancer is an uncontrolled spreading of something bad in your body, to put it really simply. Now, when we have these PAHs and HCAs, the DNA change that some of us experience can make these uncontrolled changes more likely. So it's certainly not like you eat one piece of charred meat and you're going to get cancer. That's definitely not the case. It's one small component into a lot of big reactions that have to happen. You have to have some genetic susceptibility. You have to probably eat a lot of char-grilled meat. You have to have like all the stars aligned in a negative way such that your DNA replication gets out of control. So please never interpret anything that I say or anything that you read to say one incidence of this causes cancer. However, this can contribute to the DNA replication getting out of hand. Now, several things you can do to make this, reduce the burden of this. Anytime the meat is closer to the coals, the risk is higher. So I recommend putting it on a higher shelf in the grill and constantly rotating your meat so none of the pieces get super charred. Then if some of the pieces do get super charred, unfortunately, cut those off. I know, I said that's the best tasting part, but unfortunately, that's the part that's not so good for us. So cut off the really charred pieces. Barbecue sauce actually makes this problem worse because the sugar in the barbecue sauce can compound this reaction. So please try to stay away from the barbecue sauce before grilling. If you're going to use barbecue sauce, put it on after grilling. Just like brush a little bit after the meat has been grilled, and you reduce any kind of cancer-causing risk by that. However, the reverse, if you marinate it in something low sugar, then the HCAs and PAHs are actually a lot less likely. So barbecue sauce in one study increased the amount of PAHs by 3 times, and marinade decreased it by about half, a no sugar marinade. So if you can no sugar marinate it, good. Please don't use barbecue sauce before grilling. Although I don't think that fat is bad, you guys know that, trimming the fat on an animal product, on meat, before you grill it can be really good. So if you're having less fat, you're having less cancer, potentially cancer-causing pieces of charred meat on the grill. And then rotate constantly, I said it. So here's the very last message. This is good news for me and for everyone else. Grilled veggies, even when they're charred, do not have this risk. So you can eat all the burnt veggies you want in the world. You do reduce some of the nutrients by really hammering them and burning them so much. But in terms of the PAHs and HCAs, we have no worry about that from vegetables. So please cut off the charred pieces of your meat, but go to town on those burned vegetables. Hope that helps.